What's going on, guys? In today's video, I want to talk about the wisdom or lack thereof of being friends with your coworkers. I want to keep this channel as practical as possible, so that's why I give these kinds of advices instead of focusing too much on theoretical issues like I used to. So make sure to subscribe and hit the like button so you can see more content like this. But anyways, back to the topic, being friends with your coworkers. We oftentimes want to feel connected, right, as humans to each other because we are relational beings, right? So when it comes to the work context, how do you do that, right? Does it make sense to be friends with your coworkers or not? Depends on what you mean by friend. If by friend you mean someone that you see and you just talk to occasionally and you guys do very transactional, professional, impersonal things, then that's not a friend, that's a colleague, right? And that's where I would categorize coworkers as colleagues. Now, if you mean friend in terms of like somebody that you hang out with, somebody that you talk to on the phone with for hours or whatever the case might be, you guys share a lot of personal and intimate things, I wouldn't recommend that you do that with your coworkers. And here is why. There's a difference between creating a positive environment where you want to enjoy the workplace, because sometimes it gets very monotonous, very boring, and you're not really sure, you're not always enjoying it, right? So you want to make the day go by faster. In that case, what you want to do is you want to focus on keeping things light as much as possible. You don't want to talk about too many serious things because that starts to kind of derail your productivity. And not only that, but it will also make you distracted. And that's the last thing that you want at work, is to be distracted. So the first thing you should do is obviously, again, talk about light stuff. Make sure that it's also appropriate. So don't go into inappropriate topics. Keep it professional, keep it light. Don't reveal too much about yourself, and don't ask your coworkers to reveal too much about themselves. Now, obviously, this is not like a hard and fast rule. Sometimes there could be exceptions, but for the most part, you want to maintain it at that level because the purpose of work is to make money, right? It's not for you to make friends at your job. You should have friends outside of your job, because what it indicates to me, if your friends are only your coworkers, is that you don't have skills, social skills, on how to connect with others. You need to heavily rely on your job in order for you to form those connections. And here's the disadvantage of having your coworkers as your friends. It's that once you leave the job, you're going to have to start that process all over again. Because for the most part, when you leave a job, you don't talk to those people anymore, right? And so if you heavily invest or exclusively invest in befriending your coworkers, then it's going to disadvantage you. And you're going to have to constantly do that over and over again. And you're not building that core foundation of long lasting friendships. So you have to be able to do that outside of the work environment and not exclusively rely on the work environment that you're in. And that even goes for people who stay long in a certain company. It doesn't matter, because you know what they say about like not mixing work and pleasure? There's a reason why that's a saying. It's because it makes sense. Because when you mix them, you become distracted and you're not able to focus on work anymore as you should be. But now you're trying to juggle two competing interests, building friendships and doing your job. Oftentimes, when you focus on one, the other one, you cannot focus on it as much. So it's better to focus on being good at your job than to focus on building friendships, and that's it. And that's actually what causes a lot of companies to have low ratings, lower productivity. Obviously, draw that middle path where you're mostly focused on work or you're mainly focused on work, but you also want to form the connections where things are not so uptight and rigid, but where you guys are welcoming to one another, welcoming to the customers or the clients or whatever the case might be, but not too welcoming to the point where you guys start delving too deeply into each other's personal lives. I hope that was helpful to you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.